Welcome, friends, to the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour with your hosts, Sig Bisley and Colt Mauser. Before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content just like this. Now, let the animation appreciation commence.
So I was on the fence about this one. Our review this week. It's horror. I kind of wanted to wait till October. But then when I saw who did the manga that it was based on, and I don't know, the absolutely ridiculous premise, I had to just do it. So we've got Gyo that we're going to do.
Tokyo Fish Attack.
It's Junji Ito. Like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah. We'll talk about the manga a bit. Well, I'll talk about the manga a bit, too. Unfortunately, I only read it the other day, so I didn't get it to my boy over here till today.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I get the gist. Anyway, do that. The episodes 4 and 5 of Primal are out, and they're like fucking bananas.
Especially that episode 5, I got a lot of thoughts about. Episode 4 is epic, but episode 5 is like out of left field, so we'll talk about that.
Yeah, really, really interesting. Episodes of the week, and before any of that, as usual, the news.
The news. All right. I'll get my ass in gear here. So, biggest piece of news I think this week is unsurprising, but good to hear that the announcement's been made, because that means you'll be getting sooner rather than later. One Punch Man Season 3 is on its way.
Finally. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I mean, the manga's like way ahead, like for the love of Pete.
Yep. So they are changing studios, is my understanding. I can't remember who the hell did the first 2 seasons, but
I honestly cannot remember.
I was told it was going to be a different studio. I'm not seeing it in the news here, but yeah, there's a teaser image with that. I don't expect me to remember names. I mean, Saitama and then that redhead guy.
I'm not currently looking at that image. So
who's an unholy terror? The guy who showed up at the end of last season, who was like,
oh yeah,
it was like was he a villain? Was he really a villain? He was shredding. What's his face? The freaking cyborg dude.
Yeah, Geno Cyber. No, it's like
yeah,
Janos. That's what it was.
Genos. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's Genos.
And then, I don't know. It's One Punch. We'll see what happens.
I read ahead in the manga. I know what happens.
I'm sure it'll be hilarious.
I'm just going to sit on it.
Because One Punch is always hilarious.
It ramps up pretty hard.
Yeah. So definitely looking forward to that.
Last season was slow as fuck. I mean, it's good, but it was just like,
It felt like it should have been less episodes.
Yeah, like in the manga, that's just like an aside.
Yeah,
you know how they do it.
They stretch it sometimes. All right, so speaking of, new things I'm happy to see come up. Psychopass, the 10th anniversary, they're going to do another movie.
Oh, nice. I can never get enough of that universe.
So Psychopass Providence. This one seems to... So the last season didn't have... It had kind of like all the side characters and secondary characters from the previous seasons showed up as cameos, but not so much, the 2 mains from the first season. But they're front and center in this poster, so...
Nice.
I'm looking forward to it, and don't expect me to remember names. For the love of God, it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
It's been quite a while. Yeah, I'm into it. I've enjoyed every bit of Psychopass thing that comes out. Some of it's better than others, but I've always liked it.
I'm always stoked on it when it comes out.
Yeah.
I'm always satisfied when I watch it.
Even this last season with like the different characters, like it was.
I actually
good.
liked it. It was good.
Yeah,
and it like tied into everything else, so it didn't feel like it was wasting your time with some stupid side story. Like it actually mattered. So
anyway, no time like the present. Catch up on Psychopass. I'm pretty sure it's all streaming out there.
I love
somewhere.
the way they do that. I know I've said it 100 times before, but like they'll wait a wicked long time between seasons of stuff, so it gives you an excuse to just watch the whole thing again. It's actually really smart.
Yeah, first season was 2012, and that's a full season, man. It's like 20-something episodes.
Yeah.
There was 11 or 12 episodes. Second season in 2014, and then there was the movie in 2015, and then there was the newer season that came out.
Recently.
Well, it was 3 films, but then they cut them into...
Yeah, they always do that.
They
That's
cut
like
them into a series or whatever.
For some reason.
So, anyway, go check it out. I like it, and look forward to the new season. It's one of the few cyberpunk things that's come out that actually is really good, I think.
Yes.
Which, all cyberpunk stuff should be good, but unfortunately it's not. All right, so we talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago, but now they have at least officially confirmed that the Gundam Witch from Mercury prologue, so Witch from Mercury is the new show coming out that's not in the mainline UC universe. It's another, it's like Iron Blooded Orphans or Gundam Seed or Double O or, Gundam Wing.
Universe.
Yeah. Or Victory. No, I'm kidding. No, Gundam X or G Gundam. It won't be as good as G Gundam. Nothing will be as good as G Gundam.
It's hard to beat.
But on September 1st, they're going to actually be streaming the prologue that that they showed at like various Gundam locations, and I think at some cons.
I'm
couple weeks
stoked.
ago.
I just want just a little taste, get a feel for it.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I really. It may be crap. It may end up being terrible. Most of those other series were mediocre, right? Like
I'm always excited, regardless.
But I'm always excited,
even though I know what to expect. I'm always stoked. You never know; it could be a winner. It happens.
So we'll see. We'll see how it is. I'm looking at the list of mechanical designers, and it's definitely it's the new crowd. It's not Takahashi and any of the old school guys anymore. Karaoke and whoever. So we'll see. September 1st, that will be streaming on the Gundam Info YouTube channel. So, pretty easy to watch. And we'll definitely be checking it out. We'll definitely do a little review of it.
Definitely.
For sure. All right. So, got some more release news. This is a Western release thing. So, one of Gainax's big movies from the 90s. Or 80s, sorry. It was the late 80s. You know how it all blends together. Wings of Hanamis.
Oh, yeah.
Is getting a 4K release in North America.
That's on the list, too.
Yeah, November 4th. I'm pretty sure I have seen it, but it was once and it was a long time ago.
We watched it 20.
Yeah,
not even 20 years ago, 20 some years ago.
Pretty damn sure I've seen it, but man, it has been a long time ago. But I'm excited. I'm excited to check it out in hot 4K. The remaster process was overseen by the director, and it was on a 35 millimeter print, so the quality should be freaking phenomenal.
Really good, yeah.
It's the 35th anniversary.
Wait till the Blu-ray comes
in March. Out. Well, last March was the 35th anniversary, so that's probably why they're doing the remaster. Anno was involved with this. Kikubo was involved in this. Mahiru Mieda, Itano. But I mean, Itano, come on. Yeah. Macross is Itano, right? Like,
come on,
Itano
man.
Circus, man. So yeah, I'm excited to check it out. So, Wings of Hanamis, kind of a classic. We would have got to it eventually anyway, but now that this is coming out,
yeah, I'll wait till the 4K comes out.
Yeah, definitely we'll be giving a review of this on 4K come November. All right. So here's some, I don't know if bad news, but whatever. So I had talked about this last week, I believe, but it's now confirmed that Disney Plus has got the streaming rights not just for the new Bleach, but for all of Bleach.
Thank God I was never that into Bleach.
Yeah. So they're going to be streaming all of Bleach. Sorry, Bleach fans out there that are going to have to deal with frickin' Disney Plus. I would say don't and seek alternative means. Because I don't think Disney should be giving your money right now. I think they need to learn their lesson and maybe come back stronger later.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But until then, unfortunately, the rights for Bleach streaming are going to Disney. So, yeah, it's a damn shame.
I don't think I ever finished Bleach.
I never did either.
I got
it was coming out weekly.
And I got wicked deep, but I don't think I ever finished it.
I want to give it
I certainly don't remember how it ended.
I would love to give it a chance watching it not week to week and not on, Adult Swim or Toonami or wherever it was at, and cutting out kind of the filler because now you know where the filler's at.
Who was that? Was her name Orihime?
Orihime.
She was just a plot device.
Yeah.
It was just Orihime is kidnapped again.
Again.
Jesus Christ. Can you redo this same fucking...
If she's your favorite girl, you chose wrong anyway.
Right. But I mean, she just what What the hell is that?
She had that
show?
annoying, like, damsel in distress shit going on. And I don't mind a damsel in distress normally. Like, who cares? It's a classic trope, but
she was just useless.
it was constant. She was just...
Like, hey...
But part of that could have just been her English voice actor, too. Like, their voice actress. She was a decent voice actress, but the way she did the voice was she's very whiny.
Yeah, she was just written bad. She was just a plot device. I don't know. I found it annoying. Maybe that's just me. Maybe if I watched it again, I liked it, but whatever. I'm certainly not getting Disney Plus again to watch it.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's your bad news for the day. I mean, I guess more competition and more services funding anime isn't the worst thing in the world, but
the
again,
problem is
I want
like,
Disney out of that business.
It's basically every failing streaming company is just like, anime will make us money.
Yeah.
So now they're going to be fighting over it, and it's like going to be like everything else. Like now, at least you can get 90% of everything on like a couple things. It's like, if it's not on Crunchy, it's on fucking High Dive or Retro Crush. And High Dive and Retro Crush are like essentially the same thing. But at any rate,
they have different stuff on them, but same idea.
Yeah, but I mean, I think together they make one streaming service. So
yeah, they should be together.
Same thing, you know what I mean? So I mean, it's kind of nice right now. I don't need like every once in a while there'll be something on Netflix but if it just gets like everything else where it's like, okay, I want to watch this thing, I gotta check every fucking streaming service. Oh wait, they don't have it, and I have to like steal it anyway. Like whatever.
Yeah, it is annoying.
Or like buy the fuck.
Like,
if it's
every week we go through every streaming service, and it's 1 out of 8 times that something's available. You know?
Yeah. And you either have to like, if it's something you know is good, then you just buy like the Blu-ray,
or buy the Blu-ray
or whatever
it
is.
or rent
and
it.
if it's something I don't know or I know it's not that great, then I just fucking yeah, I just put on my eye patch and get some. But it's just bullshit.
It is bullshit.
I remember when streaming was the dream, man.
Yeah.
And now it's just bullshit like everything else. At any rate.
Well, it's supposed to give you more options. Instead, it's giving you no options.
Yeah, basically. It is what it is.
All right. So, moving on to some Japan is crazed with merchandising news. Tokyo Revengers boxers.
Nice.
For men and for the ladies.
Some chicks look cute in boxers.
Not some chicks look good in boxer. Well, technically correct. Cute chicks look good in boxer. Hey, see what I'm saying? See how I'm changing this?
Fair enough. I could have phrased it better, I guess.
You see what I'm saying? No, you were not wrong, but I think it was burying the lead. Anyway, I just pointed out because it's ridiculous. This is ridiculous advertising. How are you going to show off your weebness to? Like, you gonna bust the freaking sag, or you gonna like
just randomly pull your pants down?
Yeah, pull your pants down to people. I mean, I wouldn't advise
I'm on the subway. I'm just gonna randomly pull my pants down. Not that doesn't happen on the subway all the time if you're in certain cities, but
I mean,
everywhere else is fine.
You'll be crushing it because people will know you spent $30 a pair on the underwear.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's a lot of different pairs.
What the fuck was that show that came with panties in the box set?
Najika
Blitz Tactics. Yep. That's 90s as fuck. Or early 2000s, probably.
Yeah, early 2000s.
It's a good time.
It was a good time. And Najika wasn't a good show, but it was good for the tropes.
It was mildly entertaining. I wasn't mad I watched it, but I wouldn't have bought the box.
I forgot everything about it, and I don't remember anything about it. All right. Anyway, moving on. So, Comiket. So, despite all the weirdness still going on with the Koof over in Japan, they still haven't quite moved on as much as we have in most places, but it still drew, even with limitations on attendance, 170,000 people across 2 days.
Pretty good.
So, I mean,
it's a lot of fucking people.
People are savage, man. They want to get out of there, even in Japan where everyone's like crazed. They did drop their test and vaccination requirements. So that probably did help the attendance.
That's a little much, yeah, at this stage of the game.
It was a bit much. They kept the mask.
They're fucking doing that here still, though. Like
Japan, everybody loves the masks.
Masks are part of their culture, though.
Yeah.
It's like it's.
I blame them to begin with.
It's
freaking
not
Asia.
It's not as weird as it is here, where it's just like,
What are you doing? What are you doing? Anyway, I just thought it was interesting they got 170,000, and that was because they limited 85,000 a day, so there were definitely more filthy, stinky weebs.
They just really wanted it. Isn't Comiket all dojins? Is that the one?
I'm pretty sure it's dojins.
Yeah, I think that's like the.
Now they're not
huge,
all
like-
dirty dojins, but I'm sure there is a lot of dirty dojins at Comiket.
I think dirty dojin is the minority. It's mostly,
Yeah, but the minority of trillions, billions things is still.
I think most people that buy dojins here, it's all hentai.
Oh, for sure. Over there, it's far.
Yeah, it's like a normal.
Far
thing.
more of a.
Here, it's like.
Well, it's like fan fiction thing.
Yeah.
And fan fiction here has a bad bent too, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, you didn't get your Sonic, Pikachu, Christian fan fiction?
No, I'm all set.
No, not into that? Okay, fair enough. All right, anyway, I thought that was a good white pill. Moving on. So, yeah, this will come as a surprise to pretty much nobody. The NBA, full of a bunch of weebs.
No.
Tons of weebs.
Nobody likes anime more than guys. It's 100%.
So, this is Zion Williamson. Comes out and says 80% are into anime. Like, yeah, I would believe that.
That's like black dudes have always been to comics since the beginning.
Hell
of time.
yeah,
like heavy. I mean, you remember going to comic stores when we were kids, and it's like that's where you met all your black friends. Like,
Yeah, true.
and it's just an age thing, I think, because they're all like probably in their 20s. You know what I mean? Like, anime is ubiquitous now.
Yeah.
Like, it was this weird foreign thing you had to hunt down back when we were kids, and now it's just everywhere.
This is a man who's dressed up as a Hokage to wander around like Comic-Con, so
pretty awesome.
pretty cool.
That's a tall ass Hokage.
Yeah,
Dude's like 7 feet fucking tall or something.
Right, 6'5" at minimum. But this was just, I thought this was an interesting bit of news that was not surprising, but it's good to be reminded sometimes that anime is pervaded, man. It's gotten into everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I just, like I said before, I think back to when we were kids. It was this like crazy, like super niche thing you had to fucking hunt down and spend a ton of money on.
It kind of just slid into the spot of, we've talked about this before, like Saturday morning cartoons and like after school cartoons, because it just,
it's like
America wasn't making them as much anymore,
Nah, we got away from that, and it was like Pokemon and probably Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball
really
Z,
popped
Sailor
fucking
Moon
hard.
even.
Sailor Moon, yeah, I mean, Sailor Moon got everybody
Even among
into
dudes,
it.
man, everybody loves Sailor Moon.
I mean, that's what got my cousin into it. Like,
Yeah.
reruns of Sailor Moon.
Well, so, a lot of people still don't talk about it too much, but they're a bunch of weeps. Just know, all these big, tough basketball players, they're not that tough, they're basketball players. Bunch of weebs. Anyway, we'll move on here to the last bit of news, which I thought was interesting. This is perhaps a professor outthinking himself, but not wrong. And it's an interesting topic for discussion, which is, let's see. This is novelist Toma Isaka and university professor from Tokyo, Shigeki Uno, discussed about anti-war, the anti-war sentiment and what it means and how to be anti-war, which, I don't think I'm such a fool as to think war is not something that happens sometimes and maybe even needs to happen sometimes, but I don't ever really want it to happen. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm never advocating for any individual war.
The older you get and, like, you realize, like, the reality of it more.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm all set.
So they had a discussion about, does Gundam make war look cool, right? Like, it's very anti-war. Like, the original Gundam especially, actually, all of them are. Like, it always ends poorly. Everybody dies. It's awful. Well, at least all the UC stuff, right? War is not cool, but then it is cool,
The
right?
problem is war is inherently cool.
And you are hitting on the exact thing, and that's the problem. Even this guy who's anti-war, the professor, says, yeah, but I still like military stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
it's evolution. Like, you're not going to breed that out of humans for like millions of years.
Listen,
we're just made to fight for resources.
18-meter tall robots fighting is always going to be awesome.
Yeah, as you can't knock that.
Unless it's reality and they crash into your house. Or, I think Hathaway. Hathaway does one of the best jobs of showing the terror of what happens when a mobile suit battle
in the city
is happening in a city.
God, that's one of my favorite scenes in like all of like modern anime.
It's really fucking good. Like, just a beam rifle could just go through your fucking, hotel room and you're on the 30th floor, or a mobile suit crashes into it and crushes it. Like, well, I think one lands on like a parking deck and the whole thing just like collapses on itself. You crushed. Like,
savage.
it's crazy. And then never mind that one of them could go off like a goddamn nuke.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like one wrong like fucking beam saber thrust and the whole thing goes poof.
Yep. Because in the Gundam universe, if a beam weapon hits a reactor, it's probably going to explode, and you're going to get a small fusion reaction out of it. So, and by small I mean like a couple blocks at least are going to get wiped off the face of the earth. Yeah. So it's
plus radiation.
Yeah, and I don't know how much There's definitely some radiation from that too, which when you're in space it doesn't matter, but when you're in the middle of a city on Earth, kind of matters.
Yeah, a little bit.
So yeah, it was a good. You could check out. They had a little debate going on about it, but I just think it's an interesting topic, and it's how do you honestly depict a war with an anti-war message
without making it cool,
without there still being elements in it that people are going to find cool. And I just don't know that you can. You can do it by focusing only on all the bad stuff and the human misery and suffering, and that's how some people do it, right? Like you watch something like Schindler's List, which isn't necessarily a war movie. It's more of a Holocaust movie, but it's also a war movie, right? And you can focus on all the nastiness and the horror and the bad things and especially in that one, the really horrible things that are going on, right? You can do that. But even something like Fury, where it's, pretty nihilistic and pretty anti-war with the tank crew, there's still a lot of cool stuff that happens in that, right? So...
Plus, in war,
it's tough.
Lurks heroism, and that's always a story everybody likes. So it's like really hard to separate not necessarily fact from fiction, but like reality.
There's that adventure and heroism,
romanticism, basically,
and it's always awful. But like, I think Abnett does a great job of relaying how awful it is in Gaunt's Ghost books.
Oh yeah, like most of Gaunt's Ghost is just them slogging through some shitty jungle planet.
But some of it is still pretty goddamn cool. So yeah, you're just never gonna win this one. It's something inherent in human nature, right? And you'd have to breed it out of our nature, and I don't know that you want to, because if you did, I think we'd lose something else fundamental in the process.
There's a lot of things like that. It's like, why don't you just put my consciousness in AI? We can all get then you're not even like humans.
That's why I think all the best ideas that the sci-fi crowd has had over the years for this have been the substitutes for war, right? Different ways to compete without having to go into a war.
Like Gundam Fighto.
Like a Gundam fight, right? There's casualties there, but they're more limited, right? Or gladiatorial games, which would be the same idea, right?
Yeah,
like that's one of them. Or war games or something, right? Like something where the innocent, because the toll of war is always the people that get drafted and the innocent civilians, right? Those are the people that always suffer the most.
Yeah, it sucks.
And limiting that, is something you should do. And if you can admit that, you're never going to get rid of war, I think the smartest idea is to try to sub it out somehow.
Yep.
Try to fulfill that need and instinct.
Pretty soon it's just going to be crazy
with
robots.
Something else. Yeah, but is that really going to work, right? And then that's not going to work because you know what happens.
Yeah, they become sentient and murder you.
Yes. God damn it, I've seen Terminator. I've seen more Terminator than you should because you should only really see the first two.
I went out sailing with a buddy of mine that I hadn't seen like a long time. We were talking, and apparently a girl we went to high school with that we were friends with works for Boston Dynamics now on those fucking awful robots.
Yeah. Yeah. They're creepy, man. They have one. They have one of the dog ones at work, and they just walking across the parking lot sometimes, and I'm like, okay, what caliber do I need to make sure that thing can't ever get me?
Yeah, it's true. You really got to it's got to be pretty big.
Slugs will do it.
Yeah, I feel like you need more crushing power than you need like penetration.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
That's something 45 would be good at, just pancake and stuff.
I don't know, man. I don't trust 45 to do its job on anything but meat.
It's true. It's manslayer.
It's Batosai.
It's a manslayer, but it won't go through a car door. Just pancakes.
Yeah, this is something to know. This is our
gun
the
corner.
more you know, kids. Like, if you gotta shoot through a car door, don't use a 45.
Because it won't. It just pancakes. It makes a big dent.
And if you don't want to shoot through a bunch of stuff and hit people behind them, it's probably a good idea.
It's true. 9mm will punch through a door like nobody's business.
Yes, it will. Turn you into Swiss cheese.
38 will too. Small bullets, fast.
Yeah, smaller bullets. That's what it is. Anyway, the more you know. Where's that? I need my little rainbow star thing.
Yep. You got to learn to like recognize like what gun an active shooter is using, because then you can decide what to hide behind.
Jesus Christ. Too real. Too soon.
It's true. It's not too soon. It happens like all the time.
Or just...
Either it's always too soon or it's never too soon.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got. That's the news. It's quite a bit of news.
That's the news. Anyway, so episodes this week. Lucifer the Biscuit Hammer got fucking severe this week. It got real. Like, we had some...
They were already killing off characters last week.
Yeah,
So.
main character died, got replaced this week. A lot of emotional baggage to sort through. It was a really intense episode. Excellent episode, but like, you know, those feels involved.
Yeah.
But it was really good. So, a lot of character development, like big character development. You know what I mean? So, that was good. I won't spoil it because I don't want to get into it too deep. But, Call of the Night. Oh, God, I really like this show. It's one of those shows you're not sure why you like, but it's just really good. But, basically...
Yep.
What is her name? Oh, yeah, last week. Ko was about to give that random chick that showed up, like, a massage. Remember?
Yep.
I
Yep.
talked about
Mad
that.
jealousy.
And then, yeah. And then, like, so Ko's like, I don't want to do that. I don't know how to do it. And, like, this was just like, nah, I got to play video games. I'm tired. So, like, she cons him into doing it, and they give a little bit of backstory of, like, the girl who shows up, and, like, she's just some, like, 20-some-year-old, like, salary chick.
Yep.
And she works this job that she likes.
A salary lady.
Yeah, but it's, like, she hates... This show is, like, starting to be about introverts. Like, I feel like the title Call of the Night is not about vampires. It's about, like... Because they live in, like, a smallish city.
Yeah.
And, like, you could basically, in the middle of the night, there's just nobody around. Like, you walk down the middle of the street, there's no cars.
Yeah, it's
no
not
anything.
Tokyo.
So it's, like, kind of about, like, how nice it is at night when you could just, like, hang out and, like, there's nobody around to bug you and blah, blah, blah. Because she, like, basically loves the job, but she hates having to go out drinking with everybody after. Like, all that salaryman bullshit. And, like, her boss is calling her at 2 a.m. to, like, do this and that. And it's, like, driving her crazy. And apparently Nizuna just, like, you know, gave her the, like, massage treatment and, like, made her fall asleep. At some point when she couldn't get to sleep ages ago, being creepy.
Yep.
So then she, like, she was having an especially shit day, like, after being stuck out drinking with all their stupid salaryman employee, like, friends. But so she shows up, and at some point, like, Ko actually gives her the massage. Everything's cool. But then they start talking, and Ko realizes that, like, you know, they're exactly the same. You know, they're just, like, hermits, and they don't want to be, like, bothered with people and shit. And, like, she gets a call to go to work. It's, like, 2 a.m. So she gets a call from her boss or whatever. And he just, like, he realizes that, like, they're the same. He, like, freaks out. He's like, I'm not letting you go to work. Like, we're going to go outside, and we're going to enjoy hanging out, like, with nobody around. And that was, like, pretty much, like, the end of the episode. It was pretty funny.
It's get your ass out there, neats.
Yeah. But anyway,
I got ashamed of your hikikomori ways.
Yeah. Actually, it was kind of the opposite of that. It's just, like, he understands why she doesn't want to be, like, you know, have to, like, force.
But you still have to,
being
like,
social. But yeah, like, you
do it. You know what I
go
mean?
out at night and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
At any rate. I got burned because, like, Akira has not shown back up. I thought she'd be a recurring character, like, every episode. Rather than chick he went to, like, high school from the other episode. So anyway, I got burned. Black Summoner has finally started to be interesting.
Black Summoner.
Finally. Like, basically, you have to remember that, like, the main gist of the show is he got killed by accident, so he got to, like, pick all his skills before he got reincarnated as like a gift, basically. It's like, we fucked up, like, the god of death or whoever the fuck screwed up, like, they fucked up, So when he gets reincarnated, he gets he gets the juice.
So this is not the Dark Souls universe where you die every 5 minutes. Got it.
No. Anyway, because you got to keep that in mind, because basically this is just a fun vacation for him. Like, he came back OP and he wants to use it. So, like, they're traveling to some city. Like, I think it was last week or the week before, he, like, randomly came across, like, a fucking imprisoned, like, demon lord's daughter.
Sure.
So he's like, he's got,
Does she have rockin' boobage?
Pretty rocking, yeah.
Nice.
But so he saves her. It turns out like the demon that was like supposedly had her captive, like didn't. He was like protecting her, and because
one of those. That's a classic trope.
Yeah, classic trope. But anyway, because Kelvin, Kelvin's the guy. Because Kelvin like beat the crap out of him and basically killed him. He's just like, you got to take care of this demon princess now. And there's a whole backstory for that, but fucking watch it. Like, I'm not gonna explain it. Yeah. Anyway, so he ends up with like her in his fucking party of doom, and now they're just like ridiculously overpowered. I mean, just like savage, and he's just bored. It's like the One Punch Man paradox, where he's just like, I'm so powerful,
it's too easy,
like, nothing to fight. So they're like traveling along some brigands, like some like epic gang that like and like they just like he sends the demon princess out, and he's like, hold back, don't kill him, and she just like bodies the shit out of all of them. But then like once they get into town and meet the guild master in that town, like I'm not gonna get into it, gets like convoluted, but he basically decides that the people, like all the other like the gang leader and shit that they want him to apprehend is like super boring.
Yep.
So he's gonna go and completely body that gang, and then he's going to pretend to be the gang because the other parties of heroes that got summoned before him are like coming to fight that gang, and he wants to fight them because they're actually kind of powerful.
Yeah.
I like it because he's kind of a dick. Like, he's just playing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's a cool twist on it. It actually was like more of an interesting episode. Like, it's finally getting to the point where it's not just like the most generic isekai, you know what I mean? So anyway.
Yeah, so it's now barely tolerable.
It was an episode worth watching.
Got it.
Finally. And that's it, basically, for the week, right? Yep.
Yeah, because we need to talk about motherfucking Primal.
God damn.
Primal.
God damn, son.
So, first 3 episodes of this season, so Primal, show with limited amounts of talking, except the last episode of this season. We'll talk about that. That episode's wild. So, basically what happened is the 4th episode wraps up the current kind of arc, and then the 5th episode is completely out of left field. So let's talk about the 4th episode first. So last 3 episodes, they're a continuation of the first season, end of the first season. Spears trying to find a special lady.
He finds his special lady. She's like been enslaved by crazy super Vikings.
Bear riding Vikings,
which are, I mean, everything's metal as fuck in this show, but that's especially metal.
So he had freed them, and he was trying to sneak them out of the village, but then they run into a giant hunting pack of Vikings on their bears. Proto-Vikings, wherever the hell they are.
Super Vikings.
Pigs. Who knows? And then
they do. There's a little Pictus shit in there, right?
Oh, yeah. Very Conan. It's all very Robert E. Howard, right? Maybe a little like Rice Burroughs in there. It's a lot of classic pulp stuff going on. So he has to fight them. Him and Fang, the dinosaur, they have to fight because you think it's going to be like the slaves are going to fight too. Well, the slaves are not going to fight.
Oh, it's an awesome scene too, because like
she eventually does, the main one, but the other ones do not.
He's like standing there with his sword, and he's about to fight all these guys, and like all the bears start.
Like 10 guys.
Yeah, like all the bears start sniffing, and they start freaking out, and then like because him and Fang got separated. Yeah, and like he doesn't know where he is, and then like Fang just jumps up on a roof and is like, "Oh shit, it's dinosaur time!"
And then comically falls through the roof,
and then blasts out the side of the house and just starts tearing.
And then
apart.
What proceeds is the most savage and violent bit of cartoon I think I have ever seen, including anime.
It's wild.
My God, it just goes on and on and on.
It's like a savagery. Good 15 minutes of them just committing genocide on this video.
But it's various scenes, right? And he's trying. I love the way they do it with the storytelling, where he's clearly just trying to escape, and they just won't let him escape.
Yeah, like he killed one guy, and now it's too late. Like they just got.
He's not trying to kill like the children, right? He doesn't want to kill the children, and then one of the kids just won't let up. He backhands him. The kid hits his head on a rock, and that's it.
Yeah, and he feels
Lights
bad
out.
about it.
And he feels terrible. He doesn't want to kill the kid, but it's survival, right? And the message is clear. It's just survival. And I think the best part about it is you get all this great, just violent action, this savage action, and there's emotion. It's just great. It's really well done because it's everybody in the village. Like the women start getting out there to fight. The old men.
Oh yeah, because once
boys.
he pisses through all the warriors, then like everybody else, and they just like will not fucking let up.
And they fight tooth and nail because it's for their lives, right? And then at the end, so they're really beat up. Him and Fang are really beat up.
They absorb some arrows,
and they leave with the girl in a boat, right? But the whole last 5 minutes or so of the episode, I think it's actually the Chieftain.
I think it's the Chieftain, yeah, because that was his wife.
Because the Chief's wife gets killed viciously. The Chieftain and his son, one of his sons, because I think the other little kid was his other son.
Definitely.
Chieftain and his older son come back, and they have a boat full of slaves. So again, this is just the way things were back then.
Yeah,
right?
like there's no good versus evil. Like everybody's kind of just,
and
everybody's
this is
just
the
getting
Viking
by.
village. The slaves are all very Mediterranean / Egyptian looking, right?
Yeah.
So wherever they're raiding is somewhere around that area. Because it's not the message here is not an anti-slavery message. The message here is just savagery and survival in an ancient world where it's just everything is harsh. So they come in and they realize their entire village is dead. Everybody's dead, right? And they have to bury everybody. And they actually just let their slaves go, which I thought they were going to leave them in the boat to bury them.
Yeah.
Do an at sea, fire burial. But they take the wife and the other kid and they put them on the boat. They bury everybody else in a mound, and they, that's what they do, right? They had their funeral rites, and then they get all freaking armored up.
Yeah, like
ridiculous armor.
The very end is like him and his son just like putting on their ridiculous over-the-top fantasy armor because they're gonna go hunt down.
They're gonna go hunt down who did it, and they figured out that whoever did this had escaped in a boat.
Yeah, because they left
they
left a blood trail down to the boat. So.
Yep, and there wasn't any real fighting in that area, so it was obvious that someone had fled that way. So they're heading out there, and I just love that because it shows you the other perspective.
Yeah,
how much pain it caused them, and they're not really evil. You know what I mean? Yeah, they had slaves. That doesn't automatically make them evil in an ancient world where there's dinosaurs everywhere and it's survival of the goddamn fittest, right? That doesn't excuse it in the modern world. Of course it doesn't.
People don't understand how
awful it was.
No, but
right?
how prevalent slavery was back then. I mean, it was just like a standard thing.
It still is.
Yeah.
People ignore it.
It's kind of different now, though.
But we could say it's completely unacceptable now because there is some of that fighting tooth and nail, but it's not necessary for the most of the planet, even in bad places, right? And yeah, wars happen. I get it. But back then, man, this is prehistory.
Yeah,
this
is the way it was.
This is the way it was, and I love the just straightforward depiction of it. There's no moral message on it at all. It is straight up savagery. So anyway, that episode is wild. Red Mist. Great freaking episode. Then we come to the last episode. And you figure, maybe they're going to show us what happened. And I think there's going to be 10 more episodes this season, but I don't know if they're splitting them up or 10 episodes total, so 5 more after this. But you have an interlude or an extra episode. I don't know. It just jumps to 1890.
Yeah, it's like 1893 or something.
In England, right? And, you have a bunch of rich British gentlemen sitting around talking about... Aristocrats, yep, talking about savagery. And one of the younger guys there is talking about how humanity, if bad things happen, will revert to savagery. A man will revert back to savagery if provoked, right? And then you get this whole thing, and this has dialogue, right? So this is not. This is
a regular.
This is a regular cartoon, right? So then you get this maniac that escapes from the local insane asylum, and of course he breaks into the house.
And he's like a giant fucking cannibal that like eats people.
And his design is very much like his body shape and size is almost identical to Spear.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't look like him at all. He looks different. He looks like a weird maniac. There's no obvious connection there, but
the character design is basically they took
the size and everything. Like he's this big savage, right? And in the actual like insane person savagery word.
Yeah, exactly.
and it just shows how they all deal with that. And
Yeah,
some
he
of them-
like breaks into their mansion basically because there was one other guy who was completely shitting on that guy's theory.
Yep.
And then they all have to this guy breaks in, the maniac.
Yep.
And he just pisses through most of them, and it's just those two guys left. Those two guys.
Yeah, the
left.
younger guy who had the theory about men reverting to savagery,
and then the older guy
who pissed all
who
over
was pissed all over it.
I think it was that guy's house. They were.
Yeah,
in.
it was. So that they basically there's all it's like a classic study or whatever, and there's like weapons all over the walls and all these swords and shit. So they try all the weapons. They're trying to
trying to shoot him. They're trying to do all this stuff.
And finally they just run out of weapons, and the older guy just starts beating on him.
Yep.
And they pan to a bunch of his boxing trophies or whatever.
Yeah, because he was like a boxing champion.
Yeah, he was like a mad boxing champion. He's kicking he's really holding his own. And eventually, the other guy the maniac gets the upper hand.
Yep.
But then it just keeps escalating. Each one of them has to fight the maniac, and every time the older guy, it's his turn to take over because the younger guy got his ass
he gets his ass
kicked
kicked pretty quickly most times.
Yeah. The older guy gets more and more fucking violent,
more
savage. The more he gets
Yep.
backed into a corner, and eventually he just he's got all weird fossils or whatever, right?
Yep.
He's got this big fossilized bone. He just goes ham on the guy with it.
It becomes about who has the
And
greater will
he
to live.
just turns into this screaming maniac that's just beating the shit out of the other maniac.
Who has the greater will to live? That's what it turns into.
And then right at the end, after he finally beats the dude, he snaps out of it. And the younger guy points at me. He's just that's exactly what I was talking about. And it's the whole episode is just to prove that point.
The whole episode
really fucking good though.
is a letter between Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft, and it's the Robert E. Howard side of the letter.
Yeah.
It's basically what it is.
You can't trust civilization. Sometimes you just got to hold it down
Sometimes
with
it's just got to be barbarism and
base
savagery.
instinct.
So, an absolutely bizarre episode to have. It's full of dialogue. It's in a completely different time period. It does not really connect in any way, but you see why it exists and why it's there.
But I like that the show is called Primal, and you can I like the idea of just doing everything in that vein. I'd love to see them do other, different stuff with different characters and shit that was just all about fucking savagery.
Yeah, I like it. And I do think it's a bit of a trial balloon because Genndy Tartakovsky's not a fool, right? You can only do the fang and spear stuff for so long.
Oh yeah, because how many villages can he eradicate?
Right, it's
before
gonna
it
start
gets old?
feeling samey, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
there's
only
it has not played out yet, right? You could probably get another season or two out of it.
Oh,
but
easily, yeah, but
you're gonna have to do something else with it too. So I'm interested to see if he sneaks in any more surprises like that as the season goes on.
I liked it. I did not expect it at all.
No,
It was
it was really good. So season 2 of Primal so far, phenomenal.
Do yourself a favor.
Yeah, catch up on Primal, and if you haven't watched it all, just watch it. It was not one of the million things canceled. We didn't talk about that, but the million things canceled by HBO Max. Zaslav is lopping heads off left and right. But
talk about savagery.
Primal is not. He removed Uncle Grandpa because he knows what's bad and what's good.
God, Uncle Grandpa is such a piece of shit.
Nothing on the list of stuff.
How did Adventure Time get canceled ages ago?
Tell me
And
about
Uncle Grandpa's still going.
Nothing on the list of things he removed. I was sad when. But Primal was not one of those, man. Primal is awesome, so you got to check it out. If you're not checking it out, what are you doing? With
It
your
is
life?
so far. It's legitimately been a masterpiece.
It is. It
Just
is.
that kind of storytelling with no dialogue fucking blows my mind.
It's the best thing he's ever done.
Oh yeah, easily.
And Samurai Jack fans can eat it if they think I'm wrong.
Nah,
they're wrong.
Now that I've seen the whole thing,
They're wrong. Samurai Jack is good. Don't get me wrong.
It was really good. I'm enjoying Primal way fucking
Primal
more,
is
though.
just so goddamn good. Anyway, if you want to see Conan riding a dinosaur, watch some goddamn Primal.
Right. What could be better than regular Conan? I don't know if he was riding a dinosaur.
Right? Oh my god, it's fucking amazing. And he looks like he stepped out of a Frazetta painting. You know what I mean?
Literally when he gets the sword last episode.
So perfect.
Or the third episode, I think he grabs the sword. It's
yeah,
oh,
from
Jesus.
the Vikings.
Fake
Vikings.
He just needs a helmet with fucking small bull horns on.
Yeah.
He's ready to go.
Really goddamn good. So yeah, go check that out. It's on HBO Max. If it's not on HBO Max where you're at, do what you got to do. You owe it to yourself to check this shit out.
Oh yeah,
really good.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we've gushed enough about Primal. think it's time, sir.
It's time for one of the weirdest fucking things.
It's time to talk about the death stench
ever put to print.
It's time to talk about Gyo. So Gyo. So it was a manga written by Junji Ito. So Junji Ito is legendary in the horror manga community. I've been waiting patiently for that anthology series to come out.
Oh, hell yeah.
Adapting a bunch of his stuff.
I cannot wait for that. It's going to be amazing.
Because most of his stuff is short stories. It's, 1, 2, 3, 4 chapters. You know what I mean? It's not even a full manga.
Very Lovecraft style.
Yeah, it's not even a full volume, right? So this is a 2-volume manga, although the version out here is just 1 volume. In Japan, it was 2 smaller volumes. Whatever. Regardless, it's a 1 to 2 volume, so it's not big. And the OVA here is 75 minutes. The manga is from 2001 to 2002. The OVA is from 2012. OVA is done by UFO Table, whatever. Same people who did Demon Slayer, right? And
a million other things.
All the shit, not Sword Art, that other thing. That other thing they've done a million of with the stupid
Fate.
Fate, yeah, all the different Fate stuff. Yep. They've done a lot of the Fate anime too. So anyway, what the hell is Gyo? So
the weirdest shit you've ever
I'm going to talk about the OVA, and if I screw something up, yell at me, because I just read the manga too, and I'll talk about how completely all the same things happen, but they happen to different characters and at different times. And I spoiler alert, I think up front, the manga is far superior to the anime, and it's not because it's a bad adaptation. It's just they made some weird choices. Anyway, so you got Kaiori, the main character in the anime, not the main character in the manga, is in Okinawa with 2 of her friends. One is, I'm not even going to worry about their names. It doesn't matter. There's like...
One's super slutty, one's kind of fat.
Exactly. It's slutty girl and
it's like classic,
plain girl, right?
Yeah, it's like classic Mean Girls shit.
They're both not appearing at all in the manga. They don't
like Kaiori is basically... She's like got a fiance. She's like
Tadashi.
Yeah,
who was actually the main character in the manga.
Yeah, she's super ride or die on this guy, like no shenanigans.
And he's in Tokyo.
And then she has this super slutty friend that like invites these 2 guys back to their three-way for some reason. And then like this doesn't matter like for most of it, but they just inject this weird Mean Girls dynamic to it.
Yeah, there's a weird Mean Girls dynamic going on. So
which
anyway,
is completely superfluous.
And none of this drama exists in the
manga.
In the manga. The manga, the drama is all between Tadashi and Kaori and how much of a pain in the ass she is. So in this, she's very much not a pain in the ass.
And
she's
very competent.
Very competent. Not like a Mary Sue kind of competent at all. Just like she's just kind of a normal, not useless person.
She's got a good head on her shoulders.
Yeah, she's a normal, not useless person. Like, that's all I could say, right? So anyway, they start to see, like, they first see, like a rat skittering around, but it's not a rat. It's a goddamn fish, a dead fish with tiny little freaking legs, tiny little mechanical legs. It's like a fish riding a little mechanical platform, almost like those damn, what the hell are they called in Doom? The arachnotrons, the arachnid demons or whatever, that have like the metal bottom, but they have like the squishy top. So it's skittering around like crazy. And then all of a sudden, the entire ocean just erupts with like all of the ocean is just coming out of the ocean, walking on land. There's sharks, there's squid, there's every kind of fish, and they're just overwhelming the land. So this is in Okinawa, right? It's getting overwhelmed with fish, and the sharks are eating people, and it's wild.
It's
right?
fucking ridiculous.
And it all stinks. It just smells like corpses. It smells like death. And you go, what the hell is going on? It's not like a normal rotten fish stink. It's a human corpse stink. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit about what is actually going on. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's bizarre. So anyway, what happens is, they kind of hole up in the house, and there's some drama, and then the slutty girl gets infected. She gets pierced by one of the legs, and she gets infected and becomes this big, gross, bloated monster that just emanates endless gas out both ends that smells like human corpses. But she's left there with the kind of dumpy girl, right?
Frumpy plain girl.
The frumpy girl, that's the word. The plain girl.
Frumpy dumpy.
As Kaori goes back, so apparently the fish are also in, they're coming ashore in Tokyo now too, and her fiance Tadashi's back in Tokyo, so she's got to get back there. So she takes a plane, but then the plane crashes when it lands because endless fish on the runway.
She meets a reporter on the plane.
So there's a bunch of extra superfluous characters in this that are not in the manga. And it doesn't make sense why they exist because this is 75 minutes and it did not need as many characters as it had. So the reporter and her are like, trying together. He's trying to get the story on Tadashi's uncle, who's the mad scientist. He really is a mad scientist.
There's no other way to
researching the
describe him.
fish. So he goes with her, and then they get into a train crash. It's just kind of like a chase flick. Not chase flick, but like
This is kind of
a disaster movie at that. Yeah, it's kind of like a disaster movie at that point. Kind of Cloverfield-ish in a way.
Yeah,
it's way before Cloverfield. So, but whatever. They're going. They're going to try to get Tadashi, and he's the reporter's trying to get his story right. And then, it follows from there. It follows the kind of frumpy girl in Okinawa until she falls into the fish pit. And then it follows Kaiori and the reporter. They find the uncle. They find Tadashi. He's not the way he used to be.
Not doing well.
He's not doing so well. And then there's a flying machine and a circus. And apparently there's sentient gas and World War II experiments, and
it gets fucking wild.
And then it kind of
think of the craziest reason for fish to have mechanical legs you can, and then it's not that. It's something.
It's something crazy. Even more wild, and then it just kind of ends. Like that's basically it. So it's a mess. Like the reporter gets infected at some point. It's kind of a mess, right? And I think this is the problem with the anime. So the anime is not terrible. If you have no desire to read manga or ever read the manga, I would say watch the anime. Give it a watch. 75 minutes. Animation's pretty good.
It's a win just for its like ridiculous. Like the premise alone.
The premise is ridiculous.
My bitch was
all the set pieces are still there from the manga.
Yeah, like all the wacky stuff.
But it doesn't make as much sense, and I'll go into
except
that.
the whale. I really want to see the whale.
Oh yeah, there is in the manga. There's one that tries to come out on the land with a whale on it, and it just like collapses in place because the whale's too fucking big.
Which is hilarious. That's what happens when you test these things.
Yeah,
but it didn't. They basically tried to turn a really wacky, crazy, like trippy premise into like basically a teenage slasher movie.
They made it too American horror movie. You're 100% right. That's
you don't
exactly
need
what
the
they
dynamic between Kaiori and her slutty friend and the frumpy like none of that shit mattered. Like completely useless. Did not care about it.
They completely cut out the sexy assistant character.
Yeah, like
that's a shame.
The reporter didn't really need to exist.
They did cut down on the wackiness of the professor and what he does. And I'll talk about that in a minute. That'll be the spoiler section. So if you don't want any spoilers, just don't. You can cut it off and not listen to the end of this. But yeah, I mean, look, like I said, if you're not I would say read the manga first and then watch it. But if you're interested in it, check it out. It's 75 minutes long. It's not terrible. It's not. The manga, again, is way better. I kind of wish they had just adapted the manga, but
it's worth watching just for the wild premise, basically, is what I'm getting at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I damned myself because I said early on that, I kind of hope they do their own thing with it. The problem is, all they did was take all the set pieces that happened, like all the scenes that happened in the manga, and then gave them to different characters, and that made it really make no goddamn sense.
Yeah,
they didn't do anything innovative. They just kind of fucked it up.
They just chopped it up and put it back together a different way.
Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, so yeah, UFO Table, the Fisher CG, it's UFO Table, so it's 2012 UFO Table, so it's better than anything else at the time. It's better than a lot of modern CG, but it's still not the best. It's still got its problems. If they had done it today, I'm sure it would look great, judging by Demon Slayer.
Yeah,
they've perfected it, but it's still not great, from that perspective. That's one of the only things I can say bad about the animation.
Yeah.
Is the CG in it is it's all right.
I bet if I watched it back then, I would have been like, oh, this is pretty good.
Oh yeah, no, for the time
now
it's great. And like I said, even today, it's pretty good for your average series, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's just that the one, UFO Table now is doing it way better. And this is how they got there, right? They were already ahead of the curve. Anyway. So I'm going to get into anything else you want to say about the anime before I start talking about the manga?
Nah, that pretty much summed it up for me.
Yeah.
Like, all the extra shit they added was kind of pointless. And, the manga, I haven't read it yet, but from what you described, it sounds like way more interesting.
So the manga.
Because I just wanted more, like, ridiculous fish violence.
The manga works way better because there's not all these weird things happen to a bunch of different characters at random times for no reason. It's one big acid trip with the main character, Tadashi, right? So the main character is the boyfriend in this, who's barely a character in the anime, and Kaori is his girlfriend, who's just obnoxious. Like, she's not unreasonably obnoxious, but she is obnoxious. She's a pain in the ass.
It's hard to handle.
She's just a pain in the ass, right? And she's kind of whiny and whatever, right? But they're at Okinawa together in the manga, and all the fish stuff happens. And the fish stuff happens slower. Like, everything happens. That's the one thing about the anime that doesn't make a lot of sense. It seems like everything happens in like 3 or 4 days. In the manga, it's a couple months, right? Because, they come ashore in Okinawa kind of gradually, and then they all at once. And then it takes a while for, they go, Kaori and Tadashi go back to Tokyo. They go talk to his uncle about it. They give him the sample, like, because they have the one in the bag that's floating around. And all that stuff happens, right? There's time. And it's not until, weeks later that the fish start coming ashore in Tokyo. And even then, at some point, Tadashi's the one who falls into the fish pit, and he doesn't die. So for some reason, in the anime, Kaori is just immune. Some people were just immune, and in the manga, Tadashi's just immune. He is not susceptible to the fish garbage, right? So he's not going to get the disease and become a bloated monster, right? So he falls into the fish pit, and he gets saved. He wakes up a month later in a coma. He's like in a hospital because there's still some vestige of civilization, but then he's just wandering the streets because he's trying to find Kaori, because Kaori is not all right. Because again, they completely reverse the characters, where Tadashi in the anime is the one, like, it's literally a 1-to-1 swap on that. But like, all the stuff Tadashi does and wanders through, like, they gave some of that to the frumpy girl, they gave some of that to the reporter. It's just weird. Like, they gave those scenes to different characters, and it doesn't make any sense, right? Because it feels far more like a descent into madness and an acid trip in the manga, because it's one character and it just keeps kind of escalating and
like,
falling apart.
You can't do horror really any other way.
It makes way more sense, right? And it gets trippier and trippier. And, by the time you hit the circus, spoiler, the circus, once you hit the circus, it's just, you're like, okay, I guess that's what's going to happen, right?
Fucking madness.
When there's another spoiler, the professor's flying around and like snatching up the assistant in his ridiculous, like, plane version of his winged version of the
little mechanical
legs. Like, it's crazy, right? And his corpse is up there. He's doing it. And like, it's even more wild because, like, it's a balloon at first. It's a giant, like, Zeppelin that comes out with him on the bottom. And then, like, someone pops that. I think it might be Tadashi that shoots it. It gets popped, and then he's got fucking bat wings. It's like, it's wild, man. It's just wild. And then the end is different too, right? Because the end of again, this is all spoilers, so shut off if you don't want to hear it. The end of the OVA, it's just, Kaori goes out to sea with those people that are escaping. Like, boring. In the manga, at the end, like, he's just seeing all this wild shit happening. And then there's a couple other random dudes nearby, and they're just like, yeah, man, this is wild shit. Like, hey, we're trying to, like, actually figure out a cure for this, like, over at the university. Like, you get that little hope with the scientists and stuff. Yeah. And it kind of ends. So this was a fascinating thing to watch. So I would advise, if you're going to watch this and read the manga, do both, because it is a fascinating, like, way to see, almost a study in how you can chop a story up.
Yeah.
And parse it out in different ways.
And just glue it back together in a different way.
And I don't think they should have done that. I don't think it did well. They would have probably been better off if they just literally just switched. If they just switched Kaori and Tadashi's roles, it could have worked, right? Like, I'm not saying you should have, but it could have worked. Because you could have kept the story structure together, and Kaori's the one wandering around.
All those
other
characters seemed like completely superfluous.
They were completely superfluous, and there's nowhere near enough of the professor. The crazy professor is in the manga.
He
way
shows
more.
up for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, and it makes more sense. So, yeah, Kyo, it's cool. I gotta say, I'd support anything Junji Ito does, any adaptation that's done. looking forward to that anthology series that's coming out, I think, later this year.
Yeah, I'm super stoked on that.
I have stacks of Junji Ito manga that I haven't read yet. I've read some of it, but there's just a lot of it. So I'm definitely going to double down on my efforts, get through some of that.
Hell yes. It's that time of year coming up.
I think they're doing another adaptation of Tomoe, whatever. His other big one, Uzumaki's his other big one that's like a multi-volume. And then a lot of his other stuff is just short stories. Honestly, if you've seen, there's some memes that have been going around for forever, from 4chan or wherever else that they're from Junji Ito stuff. Like, this is my hole. It's shaped like me. This the hole's that's Junji Ito.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of wild stuff, that floating heads. Like, there's a lot of stuff you've seen out there. You probably don't even realize Junji Ito. It's Junji Ito. So, yeah, Gyo, like I said, I think they made a bit of a hash of the OVA, but I still say check it out.
Oh, yeah, I'd definitely watch it. Just like I said, a wild premise alone. Fucking sharks with mechanical legs eating people on land. It's wild.
It's wild.
My only bitch is I wish there was more of that and less of, like, Mean Girls, like...
Yeah, which the manga has none of that Mean Girl stuff. Like I said, the only drama in the manga is Kaiori's kind of a pain in the ass.
Basically.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's pretty much it. That's all I got to say about that.
And that's it. Wrapping it up. As always, have a fantastic week, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace. Well, that's all for today, everyone. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning into another episode of the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour. Please remember to like and subscribe, and may your entertainment be always, entertaining.